From the Mediterranean Sea to the dark lakes through the forest, from the African shores to the Japanese islands, wherever a person gazed into the depths of the water, they invariably encountered the same shadow. Beautiful, terrifying, incomprehensible. We call her a mermaid, but the question remains, who is she really? A school of mermaids in the open ocean. Today the focus is on videos that, as eyewitnesses claim, capture creatures eerily resembling those mythical mermaids. These clips have already spread across the internet, gathering hundreds of thousands of views and no fewer debates. Filmed by a drone, they show something truly strange. A group of creatures moving synchronously in the water using the butterfly stroke technique. This is exactly how professional swimmers swim. Only these are not swimmers. The creatures are humanoid. They resemble hominids, but with non-human flexibility and physique. Some see them as mermaids, others talk about underwater evolution, and some suggest it's editing. But the body shape, movement, and group coordination all look too vivid, not to ask the main question. If they are not humans and not animals, then who are they? And this is where it gets most interesting. Because a mermaid is not just a water maiden with a tail. It's an image of a border guard. She seems both human and not quite, and a fish, but with a face, neither here nor there. She is born where certainty ends, where the shore meets the abyss, where the familiar suddenly slips away and the unknown begins. The first trace of this mystery goes back to ancient times, to the myths of the Sumerians. There was a goddess named Atargatis. Overcome with shame, she plunged into a lake but did not disappear. Instead, she transformed. A fishtail on a woman's face. Half fish, half goddess. The symbolism is striking, but even more so is the persistence of the story itself. Renunciation of the human, escape into water, transformation. All of this will repeat over and over under different names in new bodies and cultures. From the Norwegian fjords to the rivers of the Amazon. The encounter of a creature and a submarine. One of the most discussed cases of an alleged encounter with a mermaid was recorded in 2013. In a video published by the Animal Planet channel, the footage was taken from a submarine operating in the cold waters of the Greenland Sea. At some point, something suddenly appears in front of the camera. A creature with human-like features and a tail distinctly resembling that of a fish collides with the hull of the apparatus and immediately disappears into the darkness. The footage sparked a flurry of debates. Some claimed it was finally direct evidence of the existence of mermaids. Others insisted it was nothing more than digital manipulation or a misperception. The video doesn't provide an answer, but the main question remains. If this is not a hoax, then what is it? We live in an era where every day someone is filming something on smartphones, drones, action cameras, creating an illusion. Reality is under total control. But what do we do if something appears in the frame for which we don't even have a category? Neither scientific, nor cultural, nor visual? What do we expect to see in the ocean? Well, at most a pod of dolphins, a rare squid, or a sunken ship. But what if something entirely different is hiding there, among the corals and rifts? Not just a rare biological species, but a challenge to our very concept of life? This question was inadvertently raised by the participants of the expedition in the Greenland Sea, biologist Dr. Paul Robertson and geologist Thorsten Schmidt, who were working aboard the submarine. They didn't just notice something, they recorded it. And the footage, which soon became the cause of a scientific and political storm, we are observing now. Robertson's reaction is almost instinctive. I want to see what's on the second camera. Curiosity? Of course, but there's something more behind it. Not just scientific interest, but recognition. As if seeing a familiar face in an unfamiliar world. Then a series of short, disjointed phrases. Pauses, astonishment, a lightning-fast decision to combine the recordings from both cameras. And once again, shock. Could it really be it again? Robertson isn't sure at first, but then he confirms. Yes, it seems to be the same species. The very one whose fragments were retrieved off the coast of South Africa. A creature that doesn't fit into familiar categories. It can't be classified at first glance. It stands out from the patterns. Directly, he doesn't resort to scientific terms. Simply, I realized I was looking into the face of another mind, another species. This phrase cuts through the air, plainly, without the protective mantle of academic language. And immediately, the context, doubts, pressure. Why weren't the footage immediately handed over to the duty officers? Because the team feared persecution. In the literal sense, threats of legal action from the Icelandic authorities. A logical step to turn to Denmark. Greenland, though autonomous, remains a part of it. They reached out. They shared. And not just heard with consequences. In the same year, the Greenland government announced a complete ban on new drilling operations. No new oil exploration. a political decision, but driven by footage. Those very ones, it's an acknowledgement, if not in words, then in actions. Strange creatures in the camera's lens. Footage from the coast of Australia. It all starts like a regular dive. Divers, underwater filming, the gentle sway of the water, and suddenly a flash of movement. For a split second, a tail flickers in the lens. Not animated, not glossy, swift, agile, alive. Experts say that's not how graphics move. That's how something organic, real moves. And this raises more questions than answers. Where are the familiar long hair, the graceful silhouette? An image from a postcard. Here, on the contrary, it's unremarkable, torn, uneven, too real to be beautiful, and too strange to be fake. The next video came from Alaska. A young guy accidentally notices a creature by the dam. It's writhing. It moves its whole body as if struggling to get back into the water, and literally disappears in a couple of seconds. No plan, no staging, just none. A seal? Unlikely. What we see doesn't match in body shape or movements. The tail, not a seal's, not a dolphin's. Something else. Something that doesn't fit into any known catalog. Where did it come from? Why? And most importantly, where did it go? Mermaid in different cultures. Myth. It's not fiction. It's knowledge for which we haven't yet found. The key? And maybe everything we see in strange videos is not a fairy tale. It's just something that science hasn't yet learned to explain. But it should already start asking. The mermaid sounds different in every culture. But the essence remains, she is always on the border. Between fear and attraction. Between the earth and the depths. Between human and something else. In ancient Greece, they are not fish at all. Sirens are birds with women's faces. Their song is a deadly call, luring sailors to their doom. But over the centuries, their appearance changes. By the 12th century, monks in Europe are already depicting women, with fishtails, mirrors, and combs. This is not a fairy tale. It's a symbol, temptation, vanity. Sin at the very edge of the water. In Slavic tradition, the rusalka is not a romantic image at all. It is the shadow, the soul of a girl who died unjustly, a drowned woman, a suicide, a bride who never reached the altar. During the rusalka week, such rusalkas come out into the fields. They can tickle to death or they can whisper a secret. A ghost, but not faceless with intelligence. And in Africa there is its own mermaid, Mamiwata. Beautiful, dangerous. She can bestow wealth or she can take everything away. Her face, from advertising posters, and her body to where the ocean rages. This is not a symbol of fantasy. This is a spirit of water, change, clash of cultures. Japan. There she is called Ningyo, a fisher with a human face. Not a gift, but a misfortune, ate her, and perished. But there is one legend about a woman named Yaobikuni. She ate the fruit of Ningyo and lived for 800 years. A gift or a punishment? That's for you to ponder. Findings in different countries. Amazon. Hot, noisy, green, hell. And amidst all this, a boy who is filming a video and says, honestly, it's not a person in a costume. The creature moved differently, it didn't surface for air, and most importantly, why would anyone even dress up as a mermaid? Here, in the depths of the jungle, where besides mosquitoes and snakes, there's almost no one, even skeptics, tired of explanations, admit it's strange. Two men were fishing when suddenly a small creature came to them. The fishermen are not teenagers. They had seen all sorts of things on social media, but when something with a fishtail and a human head gets caught in the net, they themselves are at a loss. It was small, fragile, with arms, yes, arms, not fins, and no one could say what it was. Fatigue? Hallucination? Or something that simply shouldn't exist? The Philippines. The net is lifted and it's in there. A creature, more resembling an alien. Or a mermaid. The reaction is not a photo session, it's panic. The fishermen, in horror, throw everything back into the sea. The video cuts off halfway. But the hand in the frame is clearly visible. And the voice off screen is trembling. This is definitely not a rehearsal. Russia. Baikal. A local resident is filming as something glides across the water's surface. Something is sliding. A tail flickers. For a second, it's neither a catfish nor a sturgeon. Too fast. Too smooth. Too unlike anything else. The footage is blurry, but the feeling is crystal clear. There was something there. And here is the British Coast Guard. A routine night patrol. And suddenly a creature surfaces, looks, and disappears. One of the officers resigned after this. He said he couldn't sleep. He has dreams. The same one over and over. Tail, like water, face. And here's the question. Is it too realistic to be a fake? Or too convincing to be true? Mermaids in pop culture. Science has not found a single piece of evidence that mermaids exist, but it also cannot explain why they continue to be seen. It can all be attributed to physiology. Sailors, tired and frightened, saw manatees, or dugongs, and the brain filled in the face. Illusions against the backdrop of fog, desire stronger than reason. One can recall the forgeries. In the 19th century, it was a profitable business. The most famous was the Fiji mermaid. Fishtail, monkey head. Terribly absurd, but people believed. And paid. But all of this is just the surface. Because the real mermaid doesn't live in the water. She lives in the imagination. She has come a long way. From a cautionary myth to a symbol of rebellion. And Anderson in 1837 gave her a voice, and then took it away. His Little Mermaid is not a fairy tale, but a tragedy. Love without words, without response, without reward, and without sound. Then Disney came along. And the fairy tale became a song. Happy ending, crab friends, a sunny finale, but the main pain disappeared. And with it, the ambiguity vanished. In the 21st century, ambiguity returns. In the series Siren, mermaids are predatory, alien, intelligent, yet dangerous. Not angels, not demons. They are an alternative. A question, not an answer. In horror stories, they come from the depths, silent, but they observe, as if they know more than we do. Feminist thought sees something entirely different in her. She has no legs. Therefore, she does not adhere to the laws of the earth. She has no clothes. Therefore, she is not ashamed of her body. Her voice was taken away. Therefore, it must be returned, and then the mermaid is no longer a victim. It is his body without boundaries. A rebellion without words, an alternative to order. The mermaid lives because we ourselves are creatures on the border. We are scared, but we still look into the depths. We want to know what is there, under the water, beyond the horizon, beyond the edge. And in each of us, there is a part that does not want to be completely human, wants to disappear, dissolve, swim away. That's why the myth does not die. It's not about the tale or the singing. It's about us, about the place where form ends and shadow begins, where nature gains a face, where a woman becomes a symbol of the unknown. Are you sure that water is just water? Fake or reality? Footage that was not supposed to see the light of day. Filming is proceeding as usual. Russian scientists are studying the seabed of the Bering Sea. Everything is calm, until one frame. A jerk. Something flashes past the camera, almost imperceptible unless slowed down. But if slowed down, a tail is visible. That very one. Characteristic? Smooth? Strong? A fake? But the video is not for the public. It was never supposed to be publicly accessible. And that's what makes it truly eerie. Who edits fakes for themselves? Without likes, without sensationalism. That's the catch. And here are the shots from the other side of the planet. A tourist from a cruise liner looks into the distance and notices something. Takes a camera, zooms in, and then a figure, a human torso, a fishtail, and silence. The creature disappears into the waves, without a sound, without a splash. Only one question remains on the surface. Why so far from the shore? Why alone? And who else saw it? Shocking video from Bulgaria. Maybe it's all hallucinations, coincidences, pranksters in disguise, or just talented video editing. Maybe we really see what we want to see. Silhouettes formed from desire, mist, and the noise of the waves. But perhaps something else. We simply don't have the language yet to describe what we are encountering. No right words. No right concepts. We look at the footage, and we don't know where to place it. Not because it's fake, but because it's something else. For example, this video shot in Bulgaria. What do you say about it? Two guys accidentally capture a sea creature on camera. At first glance, a mermaid. But as soon as they decide to get closer, she suddenly dives and disappears underwater. If you zoom in on the image, you can see she's not just looking. It seems like she's beckoning them to her. A slight gesture with the hand, a tilt of the head, as if calling. But in the next moment, a turn and disappearance. What was that? A test? A warning? A game? Her motives remain a mystery. One thing is clear. The creature is clearly intelligent, but it is not human. Neither in behavior nor in reaction. Something different. Unfamiliar, but observing us. Are we ready to meet her? What if the mermaid is not a fairy tale, but a symptom? A symptom of how little? We know about our own planet. After all, the same thing repeats in all these stories. Uncertainty, wonder, fear. Just as primitive people once perceived lightning or a solar eclipse. Not as a natural phenomenon, but as a sign, a warning, or an invitation to look deeper. So perhaps the question should be framed differently. Not whether the mermaid exists, but are we ready to see her if she appears? And now, the floor is yours. Write in the comments what you think about all these scenes. Is it another myth, a new discovery, or a fragment of reality that we still cannot acknowledge?